Arthur Blank is on the line. Arthur, it's good to have you back on Dukes and Bell. We appreciate the time as always. How are you, my friend?
Well, I am doing well. I'm here doing Radio Row and opportunity to listen to the commissioner's press conference this morning, and I'm looking forward to being able to come back on Super Bowl weekend and be playing.
Right.
So, but it's great to be here, and it's always great to hear your voice and our fans. Right. You guys have been a staple forever in Atlanta, and I appreciate your show, and I appreciate all the fan support.
Well, we were just asking, before you came on, the listeners, I think Arthur, we were going to say, does Arthur Blank expect this year we go back to the playoffs? Because I know we had our sort of year of reckoning with the cap, but this is a year where the whole future of the franchise can turn.
Well, I think that's not unreasonable. I don't have, quote, that expectation. I expect our team to be better this year. I think we don't have $86 million in dead money like we did this last year. We're going into the cap, into the free agency this year with the second most cap in the NFL and the 50% higher than anything I've had as an owner in 21 years. So I think we're very well positioned. We have one of the youngest teams on offense and defense, third and fourth youngest right now in the National Football League. And I think our draft picks for 21, 22, both have been playing at a very high level. So I have every reason to be positive and optimistic, and I have every reason to hope that, and believe that this coming year, 23, will even be a better year for us. I don't want to overpromise, but I'd rather overdeliver.
Arthur, this league, you're on Radio Row and talking to folks at the Super Bowl, which you've done for many years. But this league's about quarterback. And I want to know, do you believe that we have our guy in Desmond Ridder?
Yeah. Well, I think, based on, I would say, the time he walked into our building and on the practice field after he was drafted, he's shown great ability as a leader. He's bonded well, obviously, with all the rookies. He bonded well with the roster at large when it was his opportunity, when Coach Smith made the decision in December that we had to make a change. I think he stepped up, and I think he played well in the last 4 games. I think two things are important to me is that he played better in each of the games as we went along in the last one, and number 2, he didn't throw the ball to the other team. That's a huge deal. Keeping interceptions low in this league is very important. You only get 7 or 8 times to have a run with the ball, and you want to be able to make sure you take advantage of each one of those and not flip it back to the other team.
I know over the years as an owner, we were saying earlier, if I owned a football team, I'd be a meddler. Do you get involved anymore? Or are you not? Are you not meddling?
Well, first of all, I've never been a meddler. I mean, that's against my religion of any sort. But I never have been. But I am a fan, and I think the only thing, and a serious answer to the question, is that what I hope and what I expect from the general manager and the head coach and Rich McKay, our president of AMBSE, is that I'm aware of the decisions they're making and why they're making them. And I want to make sure that from my standpoint, after listening to their vision, so Coach Smith and Terry Fontenot both had a very precise description of what they wanted the team to look like in a couple of years. They have followed that path. And the decision-making they've made in free agency to extent, but particularly in the drafts that followed it exactly. I think the team has established an identity this year in terms of offensively being able to move the ball on the ground. That's in keeping exactly with what Coach Smith and Terry had described going back 2 years now. So, what I'm looking for is leadership that's consistent in not only what they message, but how they make decisions. And I think these two are doing a really good job in that regard.
We're talking with Arthur Blank here on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game. Falcons owner joining us as we talk about our team, guys. And Arthur said it when he came on. We're going to get back to a point where we're playing in a Super Bowl, and hopefully it's pretty quickly here. Arthur, what do you feel like we need to improve on as you watch this season play out? We did a lot of good things.
We did a lot of good things. I would say, number one, we need a little more balance on offense. We've got to be able to throw the ball a little better. We have some great receivers in Kyle Pitts and Drake London and others, but particularly those two guys and Patterson and what have you. Our running backs, Tyler Algier did a great job receiving this year, as well as running the ball. But particularly, I think on defense, we have to move up to that, to that top half. I think being down where we are right now, I think it's a reflection really of the fact that we haven't been able to invest and keep some of our own best players over the last 3, 4, 5 years, which I think we have the ability to do now. When you don't have cap room, you don't have the ability to sign your own, which is like having children and then having them leave you because you can't keep them. That's not a good thing. Anybody who's a parent listening understands that. So you want to be able to take care of your own children first.
It is.
And
Arthur,
I think we're in a position now to do that.
It's Arthur Blank. I sort of cut you off, Arthur, the boss of the Falcons, the owner. Arthur, your legacy is secure between the stadium and the soccer team, and obviously your stewardship of the Falcons. But do you ever, like us, sit back sometimes when you're kicking it around and you go, man, that Super Bowl still just drives me crazy 5, 6 years ago?
Well, if I spend time thinking about it, it would drive me crazy. But I don't really. It's the kind of situation we went through. I think we learned from it. There were things that we came out of that Super Bowl and learned certain things that we'd have to do a little bit differently going forward. And I think we're moving in that direction. But you learn from the past. You spend as little time in the past as you can. You learn from it and you move on. And you make plans for the future based on what you've learned in the past. And I think, after 21 years as an owner, I've become, I think, even wiser in terms of the decision making that has to be made at the club level and decisions we have to make with our personnel and the kind of leaders that we need. And I think we have two of them in place right now. So I'm feeling very good about where we are, and we'll go take it from there.
Who's the owner around the league that you confide in or that you maybe talk to? I know all of you guys talk at the owners' meetings, but is there someone that you've had as a mentor or maybe over your last 21 years that you've kind of counted on?
Yeah, I would say the guy probably I talk to the most is Robert Kraft, but, I have a lot of respect for Jeff Lurie, who's playing Sunday, as Eagles are. I really have a lot of respect for a lot of the owners, for different reasons, for different things. And, I'll get opinions from lots of people on different things when we have decision making at the league level, and certain people are you go to more on certain issues than others. But the league works well as a partnership, and I think it's very important to always remember. I think for our fans to always remember that this league is really a partnership between the owners, the league, and our players. The players are our partners, and the success of the league, which is at an all-time high, really speaks well to the league, speaks well to the teams, and speaks well to the players who continue to perform on the field at the very highest levels.
It is Arthur Blank with us, guys. We don't get a chance to talk to Arthur that often, so we're enjoying talking to him live from the Super Bowl out in Phoenix.
Thank you.
We love Arthur Smith and our time with him. I mean, I know we knew the results were going to take a minute, but I like the fact he seems like a straight shooter. There's no nonsense. Is that why you hired him?
No. Well, I think that's one of the reasons. I mean, I think there are a lot of reasons, but I would sum him up in terms of his character very much the way you just described, Mike. I think he is a straight shooter. He's honest with the players. He doesn't mince words. He doesn't. They're not confused about culture. He's not confused about style of play, the system he wants to follow. He's not. I mean, he's very straightforward with them. And I think that that's kind of who he is. And I think to a certain extent, and I've said this to him, I think he's probably a little bit of a reflection of his father, who was the chairman founder of FedEx, and he's been around dad and mom, but family has made business decisions and personal decisions for a long time in the right ways. So he's got a lot of humility, but he's really smart. So.
You hired Terry Fontenot. You've always kind of been ahead of the curve when it comes to diversity in the NFL. Obviously, we start talking about black head coaches and specifically black general managers in the league. And I'm just curious, as you hear Roger Goodell take on these questions today and over the last few years, how do you feel about where the league is and its hiring practices? And we know, again, that you've done your part in trying to bring it to the forefront, but where's the league and how do you feel about it?
Well, I think if you look at it, from 30,000 feet or 5,000 feet, I would say over the last number of years, the league has made real progress, certainly at the league level, certainly at the clubs level. It hasn't been so true at the head coach level. We still have only 4 minority head coaches. But we do have, and this is very, very important, and both of you who understand sport and the nature of it understand we have 9 minority presidents now of 32 in the NFL. We have 8 general managers of color now in the NFL. So the fact that the team, if you will, that's going to be determining who's on the list, who should we interview, who should we consider for head coaches in the future, will be a much stronger, diverse group of people doing the interviewing, et cetera, and advising the owner. I think long term that's going to be very important for the trends that we all were looking for.
It is, Arthur.
So
go ahead.
There's absolute progress, but there's always work to be done. And in this area, that's no different. There will be work to be done. But there's real progress you can see over the last several years.
Well, we got you on the horn, Arthur. We just talked about the management. We really enjoy the relationship so far with Garth Lagerwey. And that's another guy, seems like a straight shooter and a real guy's guy.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Mike. Was that Ryan Nielsen?
Yeah. No, actually, no.
Yeah, I think that Ryan's cut out of the same cloth that that Coach Smith is. Coach Smith believes strongly we have to have a strong offensive line, and we did this year. We had a really great offensive line. They played very well, both in rushing and in terms of pass protection. And I think Ryan feels the same way. We have to have a defensive line, a defense that's going to stop people, period, whether it's a 3-4 or 4-3 or whatever it may be. And obviously 6 years in New Orleans, that his record speaks for himself there. And we know him well because we had to play against him for 6 years. So I think it'll be a great combination for Coach Smith.
Arthur, before we let you go, I'm just curious, how much has Yellowstone helped out your Montana ranches, the TV show? How much has it helped?
Well, actually, I love Yellowstone. I love all the supplemental shows they've had coming out of it, and it actually looks a lot like that. It looks a lot like the area where our ranches are, but people are moving to Montana like crazy. So I'm not sure it's the show. I think it's probably the geography and the people, and people just looking for a place to think. I think people today are so stressed that they need more calmness in their life, a little more peace in their life, and I think those ranches give them an opportunity to enjoy all that with their families.
Okay.
Awesome.
I got to get a picture of Arthur with a cowboy hat. I want to see some of that, Carl, looking like John Dutton.
Okay, yeah.
Arthur, thank you so much.
All right, guys.
We appreciate you.
Take care, and hello to all of our fans. Thank you for all of your support. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks,
right.
Arthur.
Arthur Blank, guys.